Okay, everybody. My voice a little messed up. I got a little bit of a cold because I was traveling around too much and too early in the morning and blah, 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 blah. But could not miss the opportunity to talk to Richard Sparks again. Hey, Richard, how are you?
I'm very well, Paul. Nice to be back.
Are you across the pond? Or are you here in
No,
America?
I'm in Los Angeles where I live. It's a real fire with fake logs in it. You know, a lot of things are fake in Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah, La La Land has to, maintain its reputation.
Yes, it does. So,
Well, I was out there in the early 70s in CBS, Television City, All in the Family, Sonny and Cher, Carol Burnett, some of those great days.
yeah, yeah.
I got my love for Los Angeles. It's a
Well,
great
I
time.
like it. Yeah, I first came here when I was 18. I hitchhiked across Canada before going to university. Got a job on the North Pole on Prince Patrick Island, and then drove around, bought a car in Great Falls, Montana, a 1955 Ford station wagon, drove around and came to LA and just fell in love with the place. And then when I was hired by Columbia Pictures Television in 1991 or two, I spent a year on the lot at Sunset Gower. That's that studio lot, uh, putting together a show with Blake Hunter and Marty Cohan, who created Who's the Boss?
Oh,
And then the work continued in dribs and drabs and leaps and bounds and uh, golden patches and barren wastelands for the next years, as it does when you're a writer. You know,
yeah, just the way you speak, you could see how you could actually write books. There's no doubt about it. You have the skill that you have a new one, new rock, new role. Interesting, ROLE. We talked, I guess it was some maybe last year or so about Dax, DAXX. Is that right?
Dax the hero, yes, who's based on me really, and a mixture of my father and me, who's a retired English school teacher living all alone in a little bungalow on the outside of a small town in England, and he spends his life online role-playing games. Turns out to be rather good at it. So he and his two mates, one of whom is an Asian American girl, twin-bladed sword dancer, and the other's an Australian whose avatar is an orc. The three of them win the world championship of sword and sorcery. And our hero finds himself all alone on a strange hillside with no magic staff because in the game he's a battle mage. So he's you may be very good at pushing a mouse around, but I've never held a sword in real life. What would it actually be like to be this good? You'd be hopeless. So things get worse before they get better. And it's just an excuse to have adventures in a world similar to the wonderful ones that game developers create for us online. It's not set in a game, I emphasize that. It just came out of my love of role-playing games.
Okay, nothing like a good role play.
No, in real life. Well, there are people who do role-playing games for real in real life, and I can't remember what it's called now, but live. Uh, anyway,
Live
and
theater.
they take it very seriously. It's a big community. And the second book, New Rock, New Realm, is the
Yeah.
follow-up to that was published last month.
Okay, it's something about good and bad. Tell me about the book.
Well, the adventures continue, really. It's just I've made sure that by the end of the first book, everything was explained as to what had happened and why. They have to survive in order to find out what on earth happened to them. Why are they in this strange place? It's all explained, and then the quests continue. There's more for them to do. So New Rock, New Realm. Basically, they go somewhere else and do something else. It's they go off to a new country, a new map, as we would say in role playing, and they have to sort out the problems there. And it turns out that they are working for the bad guys, being chased by the good guys, caught between the two of them, nowhere to turn in a realm where nothing is safe for them, and they're completely screwed. So they have to figure out again how to survive, how to take on the quest that happens, and how to overcome. Which is, in the words of Pete Seeger, was it "We shall overcome"? Was that him? No,
Yeah, well,
probably.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's you're talking my language with Pete
Uh,
Seeger. So
I got a letter from Pete somewhere. Yeah.
oh wow, that's great. He was actually one of our mentors, and we're
Yes,
part
love.
of the Clearwater
Yeah.
organization for many many years, 20 plus years, and that's actually how I got involved with World Water Day,
Well,
on
good for you. Yeah, because he was very
because of
big.
Pete Seeger, actually, my
Well,
buddy Bill Sowers.
my father-in-law, Milt Oak, had produced Peter, Paul and Mary, John Denver, Placido Domingo, ended up publishing everything from the Beatles to the World Wrestling Enterprises, or whatever they're called, entertainment. And he saw Pete when his parents ran a camp in the Adirondacks, is it? Appalachians? Adirondacks.
Adirondacks, New
Scroon
York.
Crest camp. And Pete Seeger and the Weavers and Woody Guthrie used to come and entertain in the summers when Milt was growing up as a young man in the 40s and 50s. And actually, the first chap, I wrote his biography a few years ago called Along the Cherry Lane, getting all Milt's lovely stories from the world of music and his amazingly eminent career. And the first chapter is called Pete Seeger's Boot, because Milt was a very deadpan practical joker. You'd never know he was pulling your leg. One time, they were in New York and they were at dinner at, I think, at Alan Arkin's house. And Pete Seeger was saying he was going to do a concert in California. And Milt was going to be in California by coincidence that same time. And this is in the days before anyone had any money or did any traveling across the country. So around early 50s, I would think, and maybe late 50s. And so they went to the concert, and afterwards, it was in a church hall, and afterwards Pete saw him across the room and sort of waved at him, and Milt just blanked him, just pretended that he didn't know the guy. And Pete kept staring at him and looking at him and thinking, and realized, obviously thought it must be somebody else who just looked like Milt. And then 2 months later, when they were in New York again, Milt said, "Pete, that was a great that was a great concert you gave in Los Angeles." And Pete Seeger was so furious, he took off his boot and threw it across the table at Milt. That's why the first chapter is called Pete Seeger's Boot. The book's called Along the Cherry Lane.
That'd be so. When I asked him, from the halls of California to New York Island, this land is your land, this land is my land.
Yeah.
That song, I said, but Pete, is this a song about America? And he goes, no, from California, you go west and you go all the way around and you come to New York. And that makes it a worldwide song.
He didn't write it, though. That's the Woody Guthrie song.
Right. He didn't write it, but that was his mindset for it.
And
He
Milt
was
said Woody Guthrie was a sweet man. He just he was a real hobo. He just used to turn up at the camp and play songs and talk to everyone. And they would rehearse the guests for the sing-songs. And so the guests, 200 guests, all doing the songs that they'd worked on with the Weavers or Pete or Woody Guthrie. Amazing.
they loved the collaboration of everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the heart of it all. Well, you grew up in the royalty here with some experiences that not an average man gets.
No, in fact, I mean, he's a wonderful man, Milt, a most generous man. I mean, of two of him and my great friend Mel Smith, who was an English comedian, was at university with me, and they were the two most generous people you'd ever met. You could never pay for anything. I took Milt out to dinner once. I just insisted. Most of the time, he just, always. That was it. And same with Mel. And I just really appreciate that in people who are, they're givers and takers. And takers can just move off. Givers are welcome. And we just, look, your job as a writer is to entertain, isn't it? Your job as an actor is to give a performance, give a lecture. It's all about the outgoing work. I mean, I can't personally stand difficult, demanding literature anymore, because like a lot of modern poetry, you have to bend over backwards to understand it. And why should I do the work? It's the poet's job to do the work.
Yeah. How about your book? Is it easy to understand?
That's the whole point. Yeah, I'm not actually.
What's it about?
Well, it's a fantasy adventure set in another realm with the same cast of characters. There's he's now a heroic young battle mage, so our narrator loves it. He's young again, and he's getting the hang of using his magic staff, which is a great companion. There's a real backwards and forwards between these two characters. A sneak thief from the back streets of a town has joined them, and he's got a small dog on the entourage. So the five of them go off to a new country to solve the problems there, rather naively thinking they're going to go and help somebody, and turns out that they're dropped into deep shit. So there was a reviewer called Fraser Armitage in England who reviewed the first book and he's called it Funtasy, Funtasy. Fantasy at its best, he said, which was very nice of him. So I rather like that word. I shall continue to use it. So yes, it's meant to be undemanding and good fun.
There you go. All righty. And where can we get it?
Amazon, do you have a picture of the cover?
I don't have it in front of me right now,
Oh
but
well, I can.
the book
Give me
there.
a moment. I'll get it. I'll get. Oh, hang on. Here's my. Yeah, there it is. These are my visit cards.
It looks like a little book.
That's a very small book. The adventures continue. New rock, new roll. There's a rather sinister man sitting there with a.
What's that picture of? What is that?
It's inside a underground temple on an island beneath an island with a sinister man with no face waiting for them. He's captured them, and this is when they realize that they're actually in deep trouble, and they've got to well figure out how to deal with this
That's
because it's
exactly what I was going to say. That is a picture of.
what? Oh, she's a great artist, Christina. She's a Norwegian artist, lives in Glasgow. Actually got to meet her at Worldcon in Glasgow in August, so that was very nice. She's done another lovely picture for the cover. And yeah, or you can go to my website, richardsparks.com, www.richardsparks.com, and you can get free samples, chapters of the first book and the second book, or free audio with me reading it, excerpts. And if it tickles your fancy, come on in.
There you go. I love the way you talk.
Oh,
And
thank you.
this is a very accomplished man with many, many operas. Operas. I mean, this guy's packed with all different sides to him, no doubt about it. And his songs and music has been sung by Vanessa Williams or Placido Domingo. I mean, you got a list of different experiences, right?
Yes, it's my advice to young writers is invent a detective and stick with it and write him 30 stories and then you'll have a career. I've done exactly the opposite. I've flitted about from scripts to plays to TV to film to operas. It's been fantastic writing operas, adapting old ones so you can fix the mistakes in the libretti and turn them into English and creating new ones. I mean, to have Domingo conducting a big opera at the LA Opera based on a short story by Isabel Allende was, that was quite
Oh,
there's a lot of work, but an amazing feeling. And the composer Lee Holdridge is my writing partner. And in a way, for those of you in the fantasy world, it kind of makes me George R.R. Martin's uh, step writing partner because Lee Holdridge did the music for Beauty and the Beast in the 80s, 90s TV series, and George Martin was one of the chief scriptwriters on that.
is
So
that
in a
George
way,
Martin from the Beatles?
no, the other George Martin, the one who plays rugby for England. No, the George Martin who wrote Game of Thrones.
Okay. All righty.
A very
A lot of good
respected, very,
stuff.
very good writer.
What's peace for you? What's peace for you, my friend? Last,
Playing the five-string banjo. I do that. I haven't played much recently, but I've Rodney Dangerfield is buried nearby in next near Marilyn Monroe. It's got a lovely gravestone which says Rodney Dangerfield. There goes the neighborhood. So I think and there's a Bill Monroe tune called Old Dangerfield. So I think I'm going to take the banjo down there and play Old Dangerfield to Rodney for maybe for next month's blog in January because my assistant makes me put blogs up on my website of daft things I get up to.
we
So
have a lot in common. Rodney Dangerfield is one of my heroes.
isn't he
Pete,
something?
I love. I just watched him last night.
Oh,
Um,
really?
I'm crazy about the guy. And they got a big mural of him in Kew Gardens in Queens, where he was born.
Oh, yeah.
Also, no, he said he was born in Long Island, but then he moved to
Long Island.
Long Island. And then and Pete has something written on the back of his banjo. I forgot what it is, but it's
This
classic.
machine kills fascists.
It could very well be. Is that what it is?
That's what it was. This machine kills fascists. Gosh, he would have been interested to see the world swinging to the right, wouldn't he? The way that a lot of Western civilizations seem to be the pendulum is swinging back from liberal democracy or from
Well,
progress, as we used to call it.
let's hope love takes over.
Well, let's hope progress is progress, that good things happen as a result. Well, I'm an optimist.
I can see that, and that's why you're successful. Thank you, my
Oh,
friend.
well, thank you, Paul. It's lovely to chat to you. How about I come back next year for the publication of New Rock, New Rules? I've written 4 in the series, so number 3 comes out next November.
It's a deal. You're in. You're on.
All right. I have to think of something interesting to say.
There you go. Well, you're always you're a linguist. You put these words together that are beautiful. Richard, thanks so much for taking some time with us.
My pleasure.
You take care. Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye bye.